Feeling a little unsettled and stressed with the way things are in our world? Experience the peace of Jesus with Finding Peace, our 5-day devotional. Visit purposely.com to sign up. Purposely. Your life, God's purpose. Listen at purposely.com.
I saw a hilarious video on Threads the other day, which, by the way, can we please connect there if we haven't yet? If you're on Threads, find me. I am at Jen Schultz Author. Anyway, it was about a woman named Lou from Melbourne, Australia, who put her bed frame up on Facebook Marketplace for free, and a neighbor responded, and some chaos ensued. I will summarize. So Lou put up the post about the free bed frame. Woman responds, and she tries fiercely to negotiate the price while Lou is trying to explain, no, it's a free bed frame. She tries to get Lou to drop it off. Lou explains she does not have a car. So the woman says, okay, fine, I will come and pick it up. And she comes at the worst possible times. Like she comes super early in the morning, super late at night. Finally, she comes while Lou is at work. So Lou says, okay, I'm going to have my roommate let you in and show you where the bed is. Next thing she knows, she gets a text from this woman saying, thank you for the bed and the free mattress and the sheets and the pillow. And Lou goes, what? I wasn't giving away any of that. Then she gets a text from her neighbor who says, we've been robbed. And she realizes this woman went into her neighbor's apartment and stole a bed from them. And it just was the most hilarious thing. She actually took it and turned it into a song. And I have an article listed in the show notes that includes the video if you want to go watch it. It does contain cursing, so be forewarned. But I found that to be so funny. And I'm pretty sure Lou did everything she could to make it right for her neighbor after all was said and done. Anyway, today we are talking about neighbors who make things right. And we are reading in Luke chapter 19, starting in verse 1. It says, Jesus entered Jericho and was passing through. A man was there by the name of Zacchaeus. He was a chief tax collector and was wealthy. He wanted to see who Jesus was, but because he was short, he could not see over the crowd. So he ran ahead and climbed a sycamore fig tree to see him, since Jesus was coming that way. When Jesus reached the spot, he looked up and said to him, Zacchaeus, come down immediately. I must stay at your house today. So he came down at once and welcomed him gladly. All the people saw this and began to mutter, he is gone to be the guest of a sinner. But Zacchaeus stood up and said to the Lord, look, Lord, here and now I give half of my possessions to the poor. And if I have cheated anybody out of anything, I will pay back 4 times the amount. Jesus said to him, today salvation has come to this house, because this man too is a son of Abraham. For the Son of Man came to seek and to save the lost. So Jesus was passing through. It didn't appear he was making plans to stay and hang out for very long, but I wonder if perhaps Zacchaeus' faith changed his course of action. Now, I didn't know this until I read it in the Bible Hub Study Bible, but Zacchaeus means pure or innocent in Hebrew. Now, the Jews around him would not have agreed that those would be descriptive words of a tax collector. He would have been considered a thief, a traitor, a sellout, and an enemy to his people. He was in a position of power, meaning he was colluding with the oppressive Romans. He was also wealthy. Later, we find out he admits to cheating and skimming off the top, but he was also well paid to do the work that he did, which was collecting taxes from his fellow countrymen. He was not what you would call a good neighbor. But Zacchaeus was curious about Jesus. He sought Jesus out, and he took action to be able to see him. The study Bible indicates that this may have been because of Jesus' reputation of hanging out with tax collectors and sinners, which was something I never considered before. I wonder if that made Zacchaeus go, hey, wait a minute. He might hang out with me. Jesus did, of course, have an apostle and a close friend named Matthew, who had been a tax collector. So it seems like Zacchaeus was curious and he was willing to let go of some dignity in order to see Jesus. The First Baptist Scott City Church made mention of the significance of the sycamore tree in an article that they wrote, which is in the show notes. They said it produced figs, and unripe figs were bitter. Ripened figs opened up to insects and wasps. So figs used to be pierced to speed up ripening and avoid insect invasion. Zacchaeus, too, had his heart pierced in a way when Jesus stopped, looked straight at him, and invited himself over to spend time with him. And we know from the scriptures, we know from the Gospels that when Jesus looked at someone, he saw them for who they really were. However, the crowd had a very different reaction to Jesus' response to Zacchaeus. They basically said, he's undeserving. He's a sinner. Why would Jesus go spend time with him? And it made me think about the question, how grumpy do we get when we see grace extended to those who are undeserving, or at least undeserving in our opinion? I like how Alexander McLaren talks about why Luke tells this story in his expositions. He said, it is characteristic of Luke that only he tells the story of Zacchaeus. He always dwells with special interest on incidents bringing out the character of Christ as the friend of outcasts. His is eminently the gospel of forgiveness. We know that Zacchaeus was wealthy, but he was so in need. I'm guessing he felt the weight of his compromises as he worked with the Roman officials. And I'm guessing that he felt the weight of the sin in his soul of tricking people, deceiving people, stealing more than his fair share. He probably didn't have many friends. Clearly people were not happy that Jesus was spending time with him. And he probably didn't feel connected to his community. But Jesus came and showed him the way out. And the way out was to make things right with his community and put a stop to his love of wealth. We see an immediate change in Zacchaeus. He stands up and says, I'm going to give half of my money to the poor, and I will give 4 times reimbursement to those I cheated. And now he must have been ridiculously wealthy to be able to do this. But we see that immediate change, and we know that Jesus brought a change in allegiance. Instead of Zacchaeus being allied with the Romans and money, he changes his allegiance to Jesus and to the kingdom of God. Zacchaeus became a good neighbor. His entire life was changed by this happening of Jesus just passing by and him climbing a tree to see Jesus. That changed his whole world. So first of all, there is hope for change directly because of Jesus. And second, how can we make things right with our neighbors? What transformation can they see in our lives because of Jesus? I can only imagine the testimony that Zacchaeus had to share at this point and how everybody around him would have known what a big change he made because of Jesus. So I'm wondering what your testimony tells to your neighbors around you. Thanks for chatting with me today. Let's talk again tomorrow about another good neighbor. I just want to take a minute to thank our sponsor, Cannon Beach Conference Center. As a fellow busy person, I think I speak for all of us when I say we all could use a break. Cannon Beach Conference Center provides the perfect coastal backdrop for a number of refreshing, restoring, and equipping conferences. And it's also an ideal place to host your church or ministry retreat. Get more details by calling 800-745-1546 or visiting cbcc.net.
Thank you for listening to The Bible for Busy People. If you need prayer or want to go deeper in your faith, visit our show notes. Will you take a moment to share with a friend and leave a review? It helps the Bible get into even more people's minds and hearts. Find more podcasts that will recharge you at purposely.com.
Thanks for listening. We just wanted to take a minute to let you know that just like you and your family, Purposely is also part of a family, the Krista family of ministries. Krista helps kids and teens learn and grow in their faith at King Schools and Miracle Ranch Camp. And Krista shares Jesus with people in the poorest, most remote places through World Concern. Krista Senior Living is a community of love and care, and Krista Media is a place of hope on the radio. God is changing lives through these 5 ministries, and Krista is on mission to share the good news of Jesus. To learn more, visit krista.org.